And welcome back. I'm Anderson reporting from Bradenton along the river walk here. But I want to go to downtown Bradenton and Ben McMillan, who has been driving around. Ben, what have you been seeing right now? Because the winds have died down. I mean, as you can see from here, they're still pretty strong, and it's still really miserable out. But in terms of flooding, what have you seen?
Yeah, hey guys, we're just north of the hospital, Manatee Memorial here in downtown Bradenton, and we had, waves of first responders evacuating patients out of the area here before this storm hit, and that was for this reason right here. You can see massive amounts of storm surge. If you look off to the right, there's actually waves hitting the wall along the river here along Highway 41, coming up over the wall into an area that is normally a park, so that's what all that water is coming out of. Look at it coming in now, all those big waves of rain and water, and then it's flowing out over here into the left and completely blocking roadways. We're not going to go any further at this point because, as you can see, it's not even a road anymore. It's more a river at this point.
And I'm not sure if we still have you, Ben, but when you're driving, it's very difficult. I mean, driving around in these conditions is incredibly dangerous because you have no sense on some of these roads how deep the water is.
Exactly. That's why I always say turn around, don't drown. We're 100 feet from a dry road, so we made a short trip down here, but we also have been tracking these cells in the rainfall and watching things very closely on the radar to know where it's safe to go and where it's not to. Most people are not going to know what they're getting into just driving to the grocery store or trying to accomplish some sort of a errand, and coming across water like this is quite a scary situation. We've seen numerous water rescues and other storms, and, storm surge is just a unique animal in its own regard. It can change so quickly. You'll have no water in one place, and then 30 minutes later, you'll have 3 or 4 foot deep ocean swells almost coming into a community like you're seeing in front of us.
Do you have any sense of how extensive the flooding is? I mean, is it localized in that one area?
Most of the extensive flooding we've been seeing is in the lower lying areas that are near Tampa Bay and the Manatee River. It actually appears like the water is kind of flowing in opposite directions than it normally does. So that is that surge effect that's being pushed up into these areas. But thankfully, it's probably only, I would say, maybe an estimate of 5 feet or 6 feet deep. So it's not really making it into those higher areas where you would see more of the city buildings and the hospital that's nearby me. So that's some good news. But the problem is this water is rising. As you can see, it's kind of flowing towards us at this point. So we don't know how high this is going to get before we'll start to see things subside.
Yeah, I want to point out this is still a very dangerous Category 2 storm that is still impacting large areas of Florida and will be all throughout the night as it crosses the entire state. So there is a lot to still be monitoring and a lot to still be very concerned about in the hours ahead, particularly in these overnight hours. Ben, we'll check back in with you. I want to go to Brian Todd, who is in Tampa for us. Brian, where are you right now? What are you seeing?
Right, Anderson. We're in downtown Tampa right now. The storm surge, the surge of the actual rain and the wind here is still relentless, violent, very dangerous. We're in downtown Tampa on Howard Avenue. I'm going to show you a couple of pieces of video that really kind of illustrate the unique nature of this storm. First, something called reverse storm surge on Tampa Bay. My team and I ventured a few blocks from here. It really was not easy to get to the edge of the bay to do this, but my colleague Dougal McConnell was able to get to the railing on the edge of the Tampa Bay and then shoot some video from his cell phone into the bay, where you could see that the water has been pushed out of the bay. It looks like a beach. It looks like it's dirt there. That's really extraordinary because the water is always up to the railing, even under normal circumstances, and in heavy storms it often floods and storm surge pushes it over there. But because of the phenomenon called reverse storm surge, the water has been pushed out of Tampa Bay. You can see the dry parts of the bay in this video. It looks almost like a dry riverbed for parts of that video. That surge has been pushed out. We are told that the surge is going to push the water back in. Now, it may not get to some of the most dangerous storm surge levels that we've seen in other areas when that happens, but you can count on that water that's been pushed out of Tampa Bay that you can see in that video coming back in. Another piece of video that I can show you is the transformers blowing in the area where we are. The transformer right above my head has sparked and arced out a couple of times, at least 4 or 5 times actually. And when it does that, sparks fly, the entire street goes dark for a couple of seconds, and then it seems to recover. So the transformers are holding up for now, but they are on pretty shaky ground here as the storm kind of passes through. Again, I mean, just these phenomenons of the transformers blowing, the reverse storm surge, and then just the relentless pounding rain that we are still getting here in downtown Tampa. It is really extraordinary, Anderson. We've really seen very few storms like this.
Yeah, there's so many strange things you see in the midst of storms like that, and those transformers, that blue light is particularly one of them that always stays with you. I want to go to bring in Chad Myers, because Chad, the whole idea of reverse storm surge is, I mean, it's hard to comprehend. Can you just explain how that happens?
Sure. I mean, let's just fast forward to tomorrow morning. You poured yourself a cup of coffee and it's too hot, and you blow on the top of the cup of coffee, you blow on the water, you blow on the coffee, and it makes little waves and it blows that coffee to the other side. Well, you've just made a mini storm surge. So if you blow all of your coffee this way, you're blowing the water or the coffee out of the bay. If you blow it this way, is what happened. You take the storm surge and you push it here. The real risk of this storm was the landfalling hurricane center being north of Tampa. And then all of a sudden, it's not reverse there. It's full on being into Tampa Bay. Now, that reverse will kind of slacken, and it even already has here at Port Manatee. There's a little reporting station right there, and it's now about 3 feet above, so a little bit of a 3-foot surge here. Not back here where this wind's still blowing from the east. That's still below and inverse, but we will eventually see all that water go back, and when the storm goes far enough east, the wind will eventually blow back into there and make a slight storm surge, but not 6 to 9 feet like was forecast. That all happened south of the eye. You have to be south of the eye to truly get the big surge. Anderson.
All right, Chad. Let's go to Barbara Tripp, who's the Tampa Fire Chief. Chief, you and I have talked for the last several days. How, from your vantage point, how are things right now in Tampa?
Well, it's pretty rough here. The wind is over 100 miles per hour. You know, we're having some large wind gusts. We actually had to cease all services because it's actually been too dangerous to put my first responders out there on the road. So a lot of residents are without power. So Milton is definitely visiting Tampa.
And do you have a sense at what time you may be able to get first responders back out there to kind of survey the situation? What sort of mile-an-hour winds do you generally operate in?
So usually when you get 40 miles per hour sustained wind, and of course gusts have a lot to do with that. And right now we are having like 100 miles per hour, you know, wind with gusts about 70. We will not put the units out there anything above 40.
Do you have any sense right now of how many people are without power?
The last I looked, they said it's probably over 400,000 people without power in the city of Tampa.
Wow. Chief, I appreciate your time tonight. I know how busy you are.